There we go. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, let me tell you guys a little bit about myself. Yeah, I'm sure you probably all of you already know, but my name is Jody. So I am one of the admissions reps here at Sonoran University. I advise last name candidates with last names A through L, Jane, my partner, candidates M through Z. So our goal is to get you to the the alumni stage, like Dr. Russell, who's joining us today. So going through the prerequisites and getting you ready for that interview, just honestly, just going through the whole process, getting you prepared for this amazing journey. I've been with Sonoran. This year I will be celebrating my 19th year. So I have been here for a very, very long time. I've been here in the Valley since 2002, originally from South Bend, Indiana. Yay, Notre Dame. So yeah, I've been in the Midwest all my life until we moved out here. So absolutely love it. And if Jane joins us, I'll let her introduce herself a little bit later. But with further ado, let me go ahead and I always share a core value of the institution. So, of course, as you know, core values are beliefs of our institution. So today I picked We Shape the Future with Purpose, educating the next generation of evidence based healers and leaders through collaboration, embracing interprofessional relationships by expanding knowledge, conducting research that improves health and well being, and through evidence based principles while honoring the past. So that's my core value that I picked for today. We are delighted to introduce our alumni for today, Dr. Ashley Russell. So let me tell you a couple little things about Dr. Russell, and then if she wants to add anything, she can. So Dr. Russell currently lives in Frederick, Maryland, although she grew up and lived in Southern California for 24 years. She got her undergrad from University of California, Irvine with a degree in applied ecology. She graduated from SDNM Sonoran in 2013, and her hobbies include knitting, gardening, baking. Thought this was really interesting, handstands, and reading. Awesome. So just tell us a little about these handstands, Dr. Russell.
I mean, they're super fun. I used to do gymnastics when I was a kid, and I started
Okay.
in the last, gosh, I forget when, a couple years working with a personal trainer, and she's very passionate about handstands and got me back into it. And I mean, it's so
Nice.
fun, but it's the most intense workout because you're holding your weight up
Oh
on your hand,
yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but it's super fun.
I remember back in the day when I was younger, I could do handstands like against a wall,
Hmm.
so I could do that, but I could never just. So you do handstands not with anything supporting you, you just.
We do wall stuff, but we'll do different, like we call them switch kicks. So you alternate feet and then
Nice.
like other movements. So it's very nuanced because every movement of your body adjusts the balance. So if you're moving your leg, you got to adjust the weight on your fingertips or your hips, or so it's hard because you have to
Interesting.
think all these different body parts at once. So it's very anatomy driven in that sense.
Who
Yeah.
would have known? Who would have
Yeah.
known? When I was typing it, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I'm
I
going to
had to
have to
throw a
ask
fun
her
one in
about
there,
this.
it's
Absolutely.
different.
Absolutely. So remember to the audience, all of you, please, 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 if you have questions, I'll get the ball rolling here with some canned questions that we always ask the doctors. So, but please feel free to put your question in the chat if you have a question, or just unmute yourself and just blurb it out. That's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So, Dr. Russell, I always ask, how did you become interested in naturopathic medicine overall?
So, I learned about it in undergrad when I was at UCI, and I was very science minded. And I remember I had one of my electives was an alternative medicine course. And I remember at the time, again, being more science minded and very much in that mindset of like, well, this is crap. But like, I got to take an elective. Okay. And then when we went through the 6 tenets of naturopathic medicine, I'm like, I believe all these things. And then ended up just coming back to it and did a shadow student for a day at Sonoran, and even in the clinic, and just remember like this is what I got to do. Like this is where I'm supposed to be, and
Okay.
haven't looked back. And yeah.
Okay. And that's usually what happens is either this medicine has always been a part of your life growing up, holistic medicine, the herbs, all the botanical that's available, or this is something that you really don't, you want to be a doctor, but you really don't know, I don't want to be this kind of doctor. And then you see naturopathic medicine and you're like, this is it,
I
so
didn't want to be a
usually.
doctor though.
Oh, you didn't want to be a doctor
I
at
didn't want to
all,
because I was
really?
applied ecology. I was thinking of actually they have special agents for the EPA, which sounds very nerdy. So you're
Okay.
like an environmental with a badge and a gun. And then I got injured and couldn't really pursue that. And then just kept coming back to naturopathic medicine after learning
Okay.
about it in that class. And to me, it's I say this to patients, I'm like a health detective because I'm trying to put the pieces together.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you could
Yeah,
be like me and never wanted to be a
yeah. It's like a
doctor.
puzzle.
It
I mean,
is.
this
It's like a big
medicine to
puzzle.
me is like a puzzle.
Hmm.
How
Yeah.
exciting. How exciting. So did you apply to all the naturopathic schools or did you just apply to Sonoran?
I did the West Coast schools at the
Okay.
time. So I did Bastyr, which didn't have the San Diego campus, and then NCNM, which is now
And
NUNM,
and
and
UNM,
then
yeah.
yeah, whatever it's called, and then Sonoran was my other one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So the magic question, why Sonoran?
um, I mean, something's location, like it was drivable to home. Being from Southern California, it was a 5 hour drive, so that was appealing. I interviewed at NUNM, and the one girl was from Southern California, and she's like, "Don't come here, you're gonna miss the sun." And I was like, "Okay." But I think meeting everyone, I remember, and I still know exactly who this is, Carolyn Stone,
Oh yeah,
who, when I was
Dr.
shadowing
Stone.
for a
Hmm.
day, yeah, she turned around and
Yeah.
smiled at me. And I'm just like, this is such a magical place. Everyone was so nice. And I really do feel like there was a lot of spirit of support and cohesiveness and not competition as much,
Yeah, yeah,
versus some of the other schools. I kind of got that vibe a little bit.
yeah.
So definitely
And
very
that's
collaborative.
Yeah, and that's what I say to students as well, as far as the competition, we're really not in the competition world. Like,
Mm-hmm.
allopathic medicine, they get all these applications for this many seats and, everybody's competing with the MCAT and, we don't have to worry about any of that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a magical place. I agree. I agree. So going back to your curriculum, so 2013, so you would have started what, 2009?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay. So you came in
You
like
can
the
remember
old
back.
curriculum.
Yes. So we were I forget the legacy or whatever we were called.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Whatever they
we
called it.
didn't go full-blown curriculum. God, I can still remember this until
It's good.
2010. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. We were
So,
one of the last. I think the class after me
yes,
was the very last. So we were close to the end of that old
yes.
curriculum.
And I never understood the whole legacy plus the other one. So yeah, it was just
Yeah.
all confusing to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So was it as hard as you thought it was going to be, or was it harder?
I think in some ways it was harder. In other ways, it not that I think I expected it to be hard because it's medical school. Um, so I think it was as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Okay,
And
okay.
that's, I think the hardest part, which again, I know it's maybe different now, was just juggling the number of courses and trying to, I mean, there were quarters we had 13 finals in 1 week. So making sure that you, right, it was a lot, uh,
Wow.
budget time for studying for each and knowing, okay, I got 3 finals today. I have 2 finals tomorrow. I've got 3 more the next day. So I think that was probably the hardest part of it. But um, yeah, I think it was as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I had a student ask me just the other day, and I give the answer based on what a student had told me, that the curriculum nowadays, it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 40-hour week. It's like working a part-time job. How much
Hmm.
time how much time did you think you put into studying? I when she asked me that, I'm like, well, I mean, all I can tell you is based on what a student has told me, which is around the 20 to 30 hours a week on top of the full time.
Yeah, I would say that's probably fair because you do a little bit after school, during the week. And then, I mean, there'd be some days where you wake up early sometimes, maybe to like study before a quiz or something.
Okay.
And then the weekend, I mean, yeah, it was like our job was studying, a good bit, but we'd still socialize. And, usually you have study groups. And so you're studying with friends. So it wasn't just like, locked in a hole studying on your own.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I would guess 20, probably 20. That sounds like a fair amount.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Were you able to, so the Lim Commons building wasn't here when you went to school either. Okay,
I
which
haven't
is
seen that, which I can't wait to come visit and check all the new
yeah,
spaces
which
out.
is dedicated to study rooms and
Mm,
classroom space and the tutor center and the new library and
that's
learning
awesome.
specialists. Yeah, I mean all of that is just geared towards your learning experience,
Mm,
which was our goal when we decided to build that building. So 47,000 square foot building, so plenty of room over there.
that's awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. So were you part of any clubs? I mean, tell me about your how is your social life as far as do you feel that you were still able to do things?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's definitely more of a collaborative spirit at Sonoran. And so a lot of friends, I mean, they're like your family almost immediately. So you spend all this time with people in class, out of class studying, but we'd still go do stuff. There's
Okay.
downtown Phoenix close by with the light
Yep.
rail. And
Yeah. Yep.
so, yeah, and I did do a lot of extracurricular club things, just especially, which I think is still there, Enact.
Uh-huh.
So I
Yes.
was involved in that, I think, my whole time as Sonoran. And then I did some NMSA stuff, so more of the national student level. I did some with NWB. So
Okay.
yeah, I did a lot. I mean, I will say, which I forgot that I've said this to students before, I think it's as hard as you make it. So if you are so focused on getting straight A's and like
Mm-hmm.
100% on
Mm-hmm.
everything, you're going to stress yourself out versus trying to step back and remember, okay, I'm doing this to provide better patient care and to be a good doctor. So if you don't lose sight of what your goal is at the end of the day, I think it's more manageable versus stressing out about getting everything perfect.
Remember the why. I,
Yes,
I say
yes.
that every day, no matter,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to somebody that I will always say, remember your why.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think was the most challenging out of your 4 years? What was the most challenging?
I know. I looked at these questions. Some of these were tough. Yeah, I think honestly, I think it was remembering the why, especially the first 2 years, because it's so didactic focused, on anatomy, physiology, biochem, that you kind of get lost in it, and it's hard to remember, yeah, this is to help be patients and to, again, that spark that you get from shadowing in clinic, of why you want to go into this, to kind of stick through it for 2 years to get, because once you get to clinic, I don't know, that's where it was like, okay, this is why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, definitely the first 2 years. And board, I mean, I guess we could say boards were challenging.
Yeah.
Boards
Yeah.
are, it's a
Oh,
lot of
I'm sure.
studying. It can be
Yeah.
overwhelming.
A lot
Yeah.
of studying, and is that the one, is the first part of boards where it's like multiple days, or is that the clinic part?
I think the first one was only one day, if I
Okay.
remember. I mean, this
Okay.
was so long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second part two, I mean, that's like 3 days of boards. So
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I still think it's still a process getting through, even getting to year 3 and 4. Yeah, you're in the clinic and now you're doing the fun stuff. You're actually
Mm-hmm.
seeing patients and you're
Mm-hmm.
putting all of these, these modalities that you've learned in the 2 years, and
Hmm.
you know learning about the human body, and now you're actually able to use those tools, I would think. But I'd still believe it still would be challenging. It would be,
Sure,
you
sure. And
know.
I think too, learning the different styles in communication, because bedside manner is
Yeah.
something that's hard to teach, but to see different student clinicians or doctors and see like, oh, I like how they speak to that
Hmm.
patient, or I like how they
Hmm.
explain this. So that's something that, yeah, you don't learn in the didactic part, but once you get to clinic, you
Right.
start seeing those other nuances.
Right, right, right. Now with the curriculum is so they start their oh my goodness, their clipper
Mm,
practice or their clinical
hmm.
practice. So students are able to do that observing that first year or
Oh,
two,
good.
just to get an understanding of listening and,
Hmm.
hearing your patient, what they're saying. So I think that
Hmm.
helps tremendously. So it's
Sure.
kind of like
Absolutely.
being in the clinic for 4 years,
That's
even
great.
though the hard or the nuts and bolts, I guess you could say, is still year 3 and 4. So yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
It's great.
Any questions? I mean, I think that was kind of it when I go over the. Oh wait, I got one last question. Would you do it all over again?
Of course. Of
Yeah,
course. Yeah,
that's what a lot of people say. That's
absolutely.
good. I don't
Yeah.
think I've had one person that's like absolutely not.
Yeah.
So okay, that's good. What would you have done differently if you had the chance to do it over again? Anything?
Yeah, I don't think so. Honestly, I
No?
really enjoyed my experience. Like I said, I did a lot of extracurriculars with the clubs, which I feel like has helped prepared me later on where I'm at now. Um, and it allowed me to like connect with other students at other schools. That's cool to see at conferences now where I go,
Yeah.
hey, I met you when you're at NUNM. And um,
Nice.
yeah, no, I don't think I would have done anything differently, honestly.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
good. And you still stay in contact with a lot of your
Hmm.
classmates that you went to school with?
Yeah, and
Nice.
even if there's some that you don't hear from for a while, I mean, I saw Jacob Wolf. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, he just
I
did
saw,
one of
oh,
these
did he
for us
really?
a couple
Great.
months ago. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I mean, I saw him at our national, the A&P conference, and it's like, as though no time's passed, even though it's been
Yeah.
years since seeing him. So
Yeah.
I feel like,
Yeah.
again, it's that family. Like once you've
Yeah.
established that strong bond, I think it's there
Yeah.
forever.
I totally agree. Totally agree. So that kind of covers the classroom questions that I have. Anybody have any questions for Dr. Russell regarding her experience here at Sonoran before we move in to talk to her about her practice? Anybody out there? Maybe not, which is fine. I mean, you can. Here we go.
Listen as a chat.
Postgrad, did you do a Oh, that's my first question. That's my next question coming up. So yeah, so let's just dive right into the practice. So, just like Krista said, so did you do a residency?
So I did not. I did
Okay.
apply to a couple, one of which was Tori Hudson's, which is like the most competitive one I think out there.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and I guess she has decided like before residency even starts who she wants to pick. So I got an interview, which I was very happy about just getting an interview. Um, for me, honestly, I felt so prepared graduating, and I actually started shadowing Messer, which was homeopathy shifts in
okay.
quarter 5. So I actually had a little bit more clinical experience probably than a lot of my classmates. So I was really more concerned about the business side of things and knowing that
Okay.
I'd be coming to the East Coast. I'd have to start my own practice. So I didn't. I did interview and just yeah, the main question I asked them like what business preparation do you have? And most of them said they don't because they're so focused on clinic hours and everything, which I get. So that kind of made my decision of why wait and just start.
Okay. Okay. And I think on that note, I do totally agree that residency is very important, but it's not for everybody. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
have quite a few docs that go right from school, they get their board scores and they're out practicing.
Mm-hmm.
They're ready to go. So you felt that Sonoran or STNM prepared you enough to where, okay,
I
let's
did.
let's get going. Yeah.
Yeah. From a clinical doctor standpoint, I felt ready.
So, and like you said, I would think the business part of it, being that business person would be the hardest. So,
It's a challenge. It's a new challenge.
yeah. When did you begin practicing?
So because the way board, then when I came out here basically August of 2014. So I've
Okay.
been practicing here since I started my business in a
10
month. So
years.
September of 2014. So yeah, 10 years. We celebrated our 10-year anniversary last September. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice, nice. Very good. And are you in a solo practice? I'm assuming you're not by yourself. Are there other docs in the practice with you?
Yeah, so I started solo, which was good, and then build up a team, and then COVID happened, and so
Mm,
thankfully we could still do virtual, but kind of went back down to just myself to restart, and then um, I also had a baby since then, so it's been
nice.
a lot. But then, as I'm watching the monitor, make sure she's still sleeping, which she's good. And then, yeah, I have another doc again, an acupuncturist, and then looking at hiring more slowly to make sure people are trained and they're good. But I have a great team, and we have an office manager now who's fantastic. So,
Very nice. So it's a smaller office, 4 or 5
mhm,
people in the office. Okay, okay. And you're
yeah.
right there in Frederick, Maryland. So
Mhm.
Dr. Stephen Sinclair, I think, is,
Yeah.
and yeah, yeah.
So
So,
we switched coasts. So I rented from him
oh,
when I
interesting.
first came out there. Yeah. So I did one of my offsites at his office, and it's how I found Frederick. I'd never heard of Frederick
Yeah.
till his offsite. And then, yeah, when I think Maryland, I passed boards, Maryland got their licensure bill passed, and then I called him and he had an office that had just opened. Like it all worked out to move here. And then, yeah, within a year, I think he then moved to California. So he switched
Interesting.
coast with his wife. And I
Interesting.
think they're still there because I know they have family out there. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, he's done. That goes way back. I remember him speaking for us way back, long time
Mhm.
ago. That tells you how
Yeah, I
long
think
I've
he's
been
one of
here.
the original graduates or like
Original.
early
Yes,
on. Yeah.
yes, yes. So
Hmm.
yeah. And when I see Frederick, Maryland, I put two and two together with him because he's the
Yeah.
only one that I knew in Frederick. So
I'm impressed. I'm
interesting.
impressed,
Very,
Jody.
yeah, I
You know a
know.
lot of people.
Not a lot, believe me. I lose track of. I'm like, oh my god, it's that city. I don't know why. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but that's okay. So we already talked about the school preparing you. So what types of patients do you see? Do you see from pediatrics to geriatrics? Do you have a in between you focus on? Tell us a little bit about your practice.
Yeah, so I focus mostly on women's health.
Okay.
So especially like perimenopause, postmenopause, that's kind of where I think a lot of women need support and aren't getting it.
Mm,
And in recent, I mean, the year or two, there's been a bunch of perimenopause, menopause
yeah.
stuff coming out, which is very exciting to see. And then we also do a lot of mental health, so
Okay.
anxiety, insomnia, depression. But then we just get a lot of people with different things. I mean, GI issues, autoimmune conditions. There's not a lot of us out on the East Coast.
Right.
I think
Right.
Maryland, I mean, there's definitely less than 50 docs out in Maryland. There's very few in Western Maryland, which is where I'm considered to be. So
Okay.
sometimes we just get people because there's no one else for them to go see. So yeah, I would say those are my focuses, but I just don't do kids. I don't see kids anymore just because honestly, I love kids. It's the parents that need to, it's hard to deal with the parents sometimes. So
Yeah.
I'd stay for like 18 and up is kind of my age limit now.
Okay. Okay. And are you pretty busy? I mean, what's your schedule look like? Are
Yeah, I
you
mean, it's changed since having, so my daughter's a year and a half, so I'm still kind of on like a limited schedule because we're doing childcare. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I still have a waiting list. I think at its peak
awesome?
until I brought another doc, which was helpful. I mean, it'd probably be like 6 months before they could get in to see
Oh,
me.
wow.
Yeah, there's so few of us. I mean, we need more people on the East Coast. If anyone wants to
Yeah,
come out here.
that's fantastic. That's
So,
fantastic. So
yeah.
what does your week look like? Do you work every day, Monday through Friday? Do you work half days? What's your week look like?
So I do kind of half days.
Okay.
Again, it's different. post baby versus pre, but yeah, so I work Monday nights,
Oh,
mostly virtual. So people that have work that they just can't get out of, we're close-ish to DC. So I have some people that are in government jobs that they just can't
yeah.
take off during the day. And then Tuesday afternoons, and then Thursday mornings to early afternoon, and then Friday mornings is kind of my
Okay.
schedule.
So
Yeah.
that's a good, okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's
a
like a
good spread out.
part-time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So is there a certain what's your favorite modality and why? Mhm.
I
I
mean,
don't even
I
think I've ever asked that one, so you're the first one.
oh, okay. I mean, I would say it's a toss up between botanical medicine and homeopathy. I love botanical medicine. We have a whole medicinary of herbs, not as big as the clinic at Sonoran, I'm sure, but definitely a good variety. The homeopathy is so elegant and beautiful when it works. It just takes more brain power. So I think it depends on the day I'm having, if I have more brain power to think
Homeopathy,
or not.
I've been here for, like I said, 19 years this year, and homeopathy still confuses me.
Oh,
It
really?
just does. It just does. Yes.
Ugh.
I've used it to back in the day. I used to be a really, really heavy smoker and I
Mm-hmm.
quit 12 years ago.
Good for
And
you.
homeopathy was part of that and acupuncture,
Mm-hmm.
and the lovely botanical herb that they gave me. So it all worked together. But yeah, it's just, homeopathy is really the only modality that is hard for me to explain to where I know somebody understands it,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
there's a lot of, I don't want to say rules, but components to homeopathy. So
Yeah.
it's hard to
Yeah.
simplify. I explain it's kind of like acupuncture, like it stimulates your body's own healing just without
Okay.
needles. So that's the simplest. Yeah, but it's easy to get
Okay.
lost in the weeds in homeopathy trying to explain it
Yeah.
to someone.
And
So
I remember going into, oh my goodness, Dr. Eric, I can't even remember his last name now, where he was like the homeopathy doc and he had
mm-hmm.
a
Udell?
wall of Udell, Dr.
Yeah, yeah.
Udell.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
He had a wall of these little bottles with these little pellets for
Mm-hmm.
every little remedy. And it
Yep.
was just like so, it was amazing. I was like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, there's a homeopathy remedy for everything.
Truly.
Everything.
Truly.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys are going to make me ask all these questions, aren't you? Come on, somebody's got to have a question. Oh my goodness. Oh, here we go. Here we go. James, I have strong research interests and can relate to your investigative interests from your undergraduate work. How did this quality serve you as a naturopathic medicine student and as a professional? What was it that stimulated the shift from investigator to clinician, or maybe scientist and practitioner? Good
Mm.
question.
So, um, I'm not sure as a student. I mean, I think as a student, just having the science background made some of the science classes easier. Like I'd never taken anatomy before, but or physiology. I was more, you know, organic chemistry, biology, those kind of classes. So I think it made it easier to kind of get through those classes. And then professionally, I mean, I'm the one that asks questions no one else has asked my patients. I'm the one that brings up diagnoses no one else has discussed with them.
Mm,
And I'm the one that listens. And I say this like a broken record, but I believe them. And I think that's why I feel so strongly about homeopathy and the way I was taught is just, especially for women, they're not believed.
yeah,
They're told
yeah,
it's in their head, it's anxiety. It's when a
yeah.
lot of women do have legitimate physiological causes for these things, like maybe it's subclinical hypothyroidism or a magnesium deficiency or something that just hasn't been looked at. So I feel like the investigator part has helped me the most as a clinician,
Mm,
just in that trying to put all those pieces together. Because it's true. I mean, I tell people that I'll look at all the labs that's been done, your records, just to see what has been looked at, what's been missed. But a lot of times people aren't in our healthcare system, given the time to sit back and kind of try to put those pieces together. And so that's where that I think has served me really well in helping people get those answers that
Right.
they haven't gotten
Right.
before.
Do you ever see, and this is just a question that I'm thinking personally, do you ever think or see in the traditional world that thyroid testing is not looked at very often? I think they kind of miss that, don't you?
They look at it, but they do 1 to 2 of the 6 thyroid tests. So
Okay.
they'll do TSH, maybe free T4, and that's it. So yeah,
Gotcha.
it's missed a lot. And I've caught many patients with autoimmune thyroid issues that they don't even check autoimmunity for reasons I still don't understand. I think because it doesn't change their treatment plan. But for us,
Oh,
obviously, doing the root cause, it does. If you have an autoimmune condition, just versus just, hypothyroidism. But yeah, it's something that, yeah, I would say it's not looked at thoroughly enough.
right, right.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is my daughter struggles with hypothyroidism.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, with the way, she's 33 now, but she growing up, it was like every traditional doctor that we saw just never gave her that diagnosis until we
Mm-hmm.
saw a naturopath. And then
Mm-hmm.
it was Dr. Tim Schwager that's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
she's got thyroidism. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what? So then of course, he referred us to she saw an endocrinologist being like a little girl, so,
Mm-hmm.
but it just doesn't seem like it's really checked
Yeah.
much,
No.
in traditional medicine, which is
Yeah.
interesting. And a lot of women suffer from it,
Yeah.
as
Well,
well.
and I tell my patients all the time, like perimenopause, especially, because again, that's what I
Mhm.
focus a lot on, and hypothyroidism, a lot of the symptoms overlap.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard
Yeah.
to piece apart or look at, they're just going to blame it on perimenopause and they don't even look at the thyroid because they're
Right.
like, well, you're
Right.
45, it must be perimenopause. And that's not
Right.
always the case.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, here's Krista's got. Is there anything you wish you would have done differently during school to set you up for
Mm.
your private practice? Business wise, what would you have liked to know to set up for your success?
That's such a tough and good question, Krista. I feel like, man, business, I feel like is one of those things that you kind of learn as you go. So it's kind of like building the airplane as you're flying it
Mm,
to try to learn to cram in more business stuff while you're in school and studying and learning the clinical things. Looking back, I don't know that I would have done that differently, just because your main focus in school is to become a good doctor, a good clinician. So it's not till after that that really then you can wear that business hat and get that
right,
piece. I do think it was nice in school to I shadowed a lot of different doctors to see like how their practices are set up and what that looks like. So I think that's helpful. But um, yeah, I feel like there's just so much that needs to be focused, step one, step two kind of thing. But it is another type of learning. I mean, it's like a whole nother hat to wear, a
yeah,
different mind to think with, but because now I'm very passionate about business, but I didn't realize, sounds so horrible. I didn't realize, but I didn't put together that I was running a business until I was like a year out in practice. And I was sitting on a plane next to someone and he was reading a business book about startups. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. You're starting a business. And then it clicked. I'm like, you own a business, dummy. Like, what are you talking about this
wow,
guy?
wow,
So, and then that for me switched the mindset of like, oh, I need to like understand this piece more.
yeah,
So, I mean, there's so many books and podcasts if you really wanted to, but, I think just with the limited amount of time you have, like focusing more on the school and clinician part while you're in school, and then the business stuff will come after.
yeah. So you think it just kind of all falls into place. Do you do a lot of marketing for your business?
I
for
don't
your
have
practice?
to
No?
knock on wood as much anymore. I mean, we still do some, but just again, we've grown a reputation. There's so few of us. Yeah, I have built up a lot of referrals in my network too. So a lot of other providers know we provide great care. So it's kind of just word of mouth for a lot of it, honestly, at this point.
That's what that's what these segments every doc tells
I
us
say.
it's referral based and it's word
Mm-hmm.
of mouth and that's fantastic. So you feel that you have a good, I mean, because you can't treat everything.
Right.
Somebody comes in and has a broken leg. You can't treat them, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
do you have a pretty good referral base to where you can refer out as well?
Yeah,
And you have a good
absolutely.
connection? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the last 10 years growing that resource. It's definitely been hard with COVID because a lot of the good, especially primary care docs, retired with
Mm,
COVID. I think they were just done and didn't want to deal with
burnout.
the
Yeah.
craziness, which I
Yeah.
don't blame them. So we've been slowly building that up. But yes, we have referrals for physical therapy, endocrinology, urgent care, you name it.
Wow. Wow. And that's good because those docs learn to trust you and, you've trusted them enough to where you'll send somebody their way. So that's
Yeah.
that's what healthcare is all about,
It should be,
the
yes.
patient, the
I think the
patient.
biggest compliment I've gotten from several patients is they go see, yeah, their primary care and they share labs we've done with their provider
Hmm.
and they're like, oh, who is this person? Like, wow, they do
Yeah.
really thorough stuff. I want to learn more. So
That's
I think just
awesome.
providing good care, yeah, is a great referral network source.
That's awesome. Very
Yeah.
good. Very good. How much time do you spend with a new patient versus existing patient?
So new patients about an hour and a half.
Okay.
I think the longest new patient intake was 2.5 hours because she had so much going on, but generally an hour and a half.
Okay.
And then in person or existing like follow ups are like 30 to 45 minutes on average.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Awesome. All right. So we talked about the favorite modality. You like homeopathy, which is fantastic. Um, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I saw this
I
question. This
know.
was probably the hardest question. I was just talking to my partner about this last night. Again, I have a toddler, so I feel like I'm just surviving right now with that. Um,
Well, that takes
so
you a couple years at least.
yeah, I mean, thankfully she sleeps through the night, knock on wood.
Oh God. Yes.
But we use homeopathy with her a lot with teething and sleep,
Nice.
sleeping
Okay.
stuff, bumping her head, arnica. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. She
Yeah.
knows what the little pellets are. And
That's cute.
I honestly, I'm actually talking to someone tomorrow, and in the thought process and maybe developing a nonprofit side of the business, just because we don't take insurance in Maryland. Um,
Okay.
we're not allowed to. I don't know if that'll change at some point. We're trying to get scope expansion currently, so it's not really a priority. But I don't want to not have our care be accessible because of cost. So
Right.
possibly going to add a nonprofit arm to this clinic, and then maybe, I mean, with the nonprofit, like maybe add a residency as well. So five
Nice.
years, that would be a great goal.
Nice. That's a great goal. That's awesome. Yay.
With a toddler. I mean, it's fine. I got time.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
They can fend for themselves at that
Yeah,
age now.
she's fine.
All right, let's see a couple more questions in there. From a political perspective, how do you think the Make America Health Again campaign and objective with positivity and negativity impact the naturopathic physician and industry as a whole? Hmm.
That's a really good, interesting question. I mean, I think RFK has to get confirmed still.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know.
Yep,
There's a
I
lot of
agree.
opposition. We don't know if that's going to happen. Um, I like to think of the glass half full and that maybe there can be some positives with the food industry. I think he's talked a lot about that. I mean, I have concerns from just I mean, not to turn this into a big political thing, but just, you know, I don't know. We'll see. I think, can we take this and use this to our advantage if there's a big focus on being healthy and nutrition, and can we be those providers? That'd be great,
Yeah.
without losing all this other kind of craziness in that. I think that's the extent I'll answer. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
helpful. I don't know that we'll know. I don't know. We'll know until,
I don't think anybody knows though.
yeah,
So
until it happens.
until
So,
until it happens, exactly. James, sounds like Maryland is a licensed state.
mhm.
Suggestions for practicing in an unlicensed state.
So Maryland is licensed. Licensure didn't happen until 2016, and I moved here in 2014. So I was pre-licensed state for 2 years. So James, do you have anything more specific with suggestions, or just general suggestions for a pre-licensed state? I'm just curious,
Just general.
just general.
Yeah.
General. So, I mean, the big thing is, yeah, you're not allowed to diagnose and treat. So, kind of going more from the view of health education for patients. Um, you can't order labs for a lot of things. So, again, kind of trying to be that investigator of putting the pieces together and coming up with a plan. And you make recommendations. You're not making, treatment suggestions or um, things like that. So more on the side of recommendation, if that makes sense. But it's
Okay.
it's definitely doable. And I feel like it makes you more creative in that you are kind of constrained. So if you can get people better with the tools like homeopathy, botanical medicine's fine, supplements, herbs, just nothing with touch. So, no acupuncture. I mean, obviously, most states that's the case, and then no physical medicine type things, but it allows you to rely on some of these other great tools and get really good with those.
That's true. That's true. I guess I never looked at it that way, but yeah, the physical medicine and acupuncture definitely the touch, but you know, yeah. So you get really good at botanicals and counseling on nutrition. Nutrition's
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my God. So yeah, that's great. That's great.
Or
And
stress
is it,
management, lifestyle stuff. I mean, yeah, there's so
yeah,
many things
yeah.
you can talk about.
And then trying to become licensed, is it true that, the more docs you have in an unlicensed state, the more legislature, more, I don't know what I'm
I,
trying to
I
say
don't think
here.
it's No, I think I get what you're trying to say, Jody. Like the more momentum you have, kind of, or like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ease of it.
yeah.
Um, I don't think that's the case because we've had some states, and again, Maryland. I mean, at the time of licensure in Maryland, there were 30 docs, maybe. So
Oh,
there
okay.
were not a lot. It really depends on having a core group of people that are willing to be on the board and do the work, because those couple people are going to do the most. So I guess in theory, if you have a bigger state with more people, you'd have more
Hmm,
people to
hmm,
choose from.
hmm.
But then having a great lobbyist, and it depends on like the political climate of the state too, because there are some sessions and some politicians where their focus is a little bit different, so you can have to work with who's in there. So I think it really, yeah, I would say it's not, unfortunately, that simple, that more docs is easier. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's just so many states out there, Texas, New York, that are close, Michigan, that are close. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what will it take to get you over that hurdle? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Well,
know.
and
I
we've been
guess we won't
trying
know.
for like scope expansion. We don't have prescriptive rights in Maryland. And so we've been trying for that, I think, since 2016. And we're still trying. We have a bill introducing, I think, any day now this year. So that's been almost going on 9 years now process.
Wow. So what
Mm-hmm.
happens if somebody comes to you and you're their general, practitioner and they need an antibiotic? I mean,
I can't. I
you
got to send
can't.
them to urgent care or back to their primary care provider or anything.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
Hmm.
this next question.
What is it? How could one go about becoming an advocate for NDs in a state? Yeah.
So that's something you can start with as a student. Most state associations, I would imagine all state associations, won't say no to extra help. So if that's, helping out with social media, email management, like there's little things that mean, for most state associations, it's all volunteer based. So it's docs like me that are putting extra time, which I've been on our state association. I'm not currently, but it's just us trying to fit in what time we can. So
Right,
having a
right.
student help out would be great. And then in the process, usually learn more about the process of advocacy, getting licensure, like wherever they're at with that particular state, if it's trying to get licensed or scope expansion or whatever. But yeah, as a student is the best because then you're also meeting docs in the state where you want to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
and then networking and learning more before you even get there.
yeah, exactly. What, I'm just curious, did you not have any interest in practicing in California, spending as much time there as you did?
I kind of fell in love with Maryland when I came out here. And honestly, everyone at Sonoran that became really close to me were from the East Coast. And
Okay,
I was just like, there's something about this East Coast I got to explore. So, and then
nice.
every time I come out here, yeah, I really enjoyed the people. So I know my mom would love for me to come back, but I think I also liked from the advocacy standpoint, because that's been a very strong passion of mine, is like there are so few of us out here and we need more of us out
Yeah,
here to
yeah,
get
yeah,
things done.
yeah.
So that appealed to me too.
Okay. And you like
Yeah.
that snow?
I do. There's snow on the ground right now. I don't know.
Oh,
There's
I'm
something
sure.
with the seasonality. I'm glad you love Arizona, Jody. It like killed
Yeah,
me with the heat after
really?
four
Yeah,
years. So I was ready for snow and trees and greenery. And
yeah,
I mean, fall is the most
yeah.
wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm originally from Indiana, so the changing of the seasons, the winters,
Hmm.
the the springtime and the overcast and all that good stuff. And when we
Yeah.
moved here, I remember the day we were unpacking our U-Haul and it was 117 degrees. I was like, "Oh, when we moved here in June 15th." And I'm
Oh
like,
God.
"Hmm, where did I move to?" You
Yeah.
know.
What was this? Yeah.
But I honestly, and I still have family back there, and I do a lot of visiting the Michigan fair, the Michigan schools. So, of course, every March I run into snow and the cold weather, and every March I come back and I tell my husband, I will never go back there. I will never go back there. It's just, I don't know, but I do miss the fall. I think the
Hmm.
fall is beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
I
Yeah.
really do. I really
Best
do.
season. Hmm.
But I mean, we're so close to Flagstaff that,
True.
well, 2.5 hours, if we want to go up there. But yeah, and I've told students that, come out here, you want to visit, come out here in July or August.
Yeah.
If you
It's
can
hot.
handle July or August, you got this in the bag.
Hmm.
It is hot. It is hot. Yeah,
But
but
everything's so air conditioning. You also need a jacket because you
hmm
go in a
hmm
coffee shop
hmm
and it's freezing because
it
everyone's got
is.
the air conditioning blasting. So it's this weird,
It
yeah,
is. It
extreme from
is.
one to
Yeah.
another.
But
Yeah.
actually, the last couple of days, we've been very cold. I mean, down like 32, 33 at
Oh,
night.
wow.
It's been very, very cold. And
Hmm.
that's I live in Chandler, so it's here
Oh,
in the
yeah.
Phoenix area. It's very cold. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
It's
love it.
close to
I
our
love it.
weather. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Have you found that being an ND ends up being political? Do you find yourself having to be very involved politically
Hmm.
to keep and expand your care? Hmm.
Um, I mean, we thankfully haven't had any threatening of losing our scope or anything like that. So I haven't found that to be the case. I don't know if I understand the first part of that question about being political. I mean, I think there's always usually people that are involved on the political side of things in the state associations to make sure nothing's going to happen. But I got involved with it just because that's something I'm passionate about. But I know there's a lot of docs here that I know that don't end up doing anything political, and that's fine too. So I think there's people that fill that role very well. So you don't have to force yourself to be political if you don't want to.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
If I
How
understood that
many
question,
how many
Kristen.
docs do you say you have in Maryland approximately?
Probably 50, probably.
Okay.
There's been a
Okay.
lot of docs that have gotten licenses from surrounding states that aren't licensed. So, like West Virginia, Virginia, Pennsylvania, which is kind of a gray area. So, they've gotten Maryland licenses to say that they're licensed. They just, but then some have like lapsed. So, I think, yeah, it's around 50 last count.
Okay. So that's not too bad then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
Just
too
most are
bad.
definitely more Baltimore, like closer to
Yeah.
the
Okay.
water. Yeah.
So how small is Frederick? Is it Fredericks? You said Frederick.
Yeah,
How
I
small
think
is
it's
Frederick?
like 70,000 people. We used to be
Okay.
the largest growing county in Maryland. I think we're now the second fastest, but we're like 45 minutes to an hour from Baltimore, 45 minutes to an hour from DC. So, there's still like fun stuff we can do. I joke
Yeah.
we have Costco and so we're
So
good.
if you got Costco and Walmart, you're golden.
Yeah, that's all we need.
So
So we have the
yeah,
important stuff.
so it's not real big, which is fine. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. I like the small cities.
Hmm.
All right, so I'm going to ask one last question, and then if anybody else has, we have about 10 minutes. If not, that's okay. So, what word of advice would you give to our students in this room who are getting ready to embark on this journey?
Um, oh man. I think we're gonna tie it all back, Jody. I think remember your why is probably
Yeah,
the biggest thing. Even if that's like as cheesy it sounds, a vision board, a visual reminder, something. Just make something to remind you of your why. And again, it's as hard or not hard as you make it. So, I think having the why it helps make it a little bit easier through the process.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. I think that why are you doing this? Why did you become interested in naturopathic medicine? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've always, when I talk to students, there's tons of different professions out there. Why naturopathic medicine?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what you have to kind of convince the interview panel too. So, do you remember
Right.
your interview, Dr. Russell?
I do. I don't remember who it
Yeah.
was though.
Was it Dr. Laskew? He's been around
It
forever.
might have been, honestly. Is he
Yeah.
still there?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Still
That's great.
interviewing for us
That's
too.
wonderful.
So,
Yeah,
so
he
yeah.
probably was on because I think there were two interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, that was so long ago.
Yeah. I know. Isn't that crazy though? It's been, oh my gosh, I mean, the 19 years that I've been here is just
Hmm.
blown by.
Yeah,
I can't believe it's going to be 19 years in August. Where did that time go?
that's great.
So yeah. All right, everybody. Any last questions that we have out there you wanna that you're dying to know from Dr. Russell? So is this a little girl you have or a little boy?
Little girl.
Little girl. Year and
Yeah.
a half. How fun.
Yeah, she's
Awesome.
trying to say all the words and
Yeah, they keep you
trying to like
busy.
understand what the heck she's trying to
Yeah,
say. So yeah, run
exactly.
around. You clean something up,
Exactly.
she uncleans it. So yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. My daughter has four under the age of 9
Oh my gosh.
every 2 years. I'm like, whew, you are a busy
Yeah.
mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's full-time job for sure.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, I'm gonna shut this down and log off a little bit early if nobody else has any questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Russell. Oh, I was gonna ask you, do you let students, say for instance,
Shadow.
that live in Maryland,
Hmm.
they want to shadow? You do
Yep,
open up your practice to let them
we
do
do.
that. Okay,
Absolutely. You
very
can just
good.
email us and yeah, we're happy to let students shadow even during school, before school. I've had some students that are thinking about going into naturopathic medicine that have shadowed. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Hmm.
Fantastic. Very good. Very good. And the email, can we put your
I
email
can
in
put it
the,
in the chat.
yeah, if you
Let
would,
me
that would
do
be
that real
great.
quick. It's just my name at our clinic.
That would be perfect.
Spell. I think I did it right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have
Frederick
any questions, I'm
NHC.
definitely open and
Yeah.
happy to share. I could talk about this stuff all day. So
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very, very much. This is very
sure.
informative and we appreciate it. Looks like you're doing well. So congratulations on,
Thank you.
running your business and the good thing is you would do it all over again. So that's a good
Mhm.
thing.
Yes.
All right. You guys have a great day. Thanks again for joining us, Dr. Russell, and have a great
Sure.
week.
It's good
All
seeing you,
right.
Jody.
Bye, everybody. Good seeing you. Bye bye.
Bye.